Journal TV is lucky to have Johnette Roberts, a member of the Clifton Forge Town Council, with us today. Welcome, Johnette.
Thank you.
She is about to have her last meeting on December 13th. She's going to say goodbye to everybody. We're going to miss you. We're going to miss you.
I'm going to miss being at council meetings and being part of council.
Well, you've been on City Council since January of 2009. What were your ideas at that time? I mean, what were you thinking that you wanted to accomplish?
I didn't really know at that time what I wanted to accomplish. The reason I was on council, or I ran for council as a write-in candidate, was because our late mayor, Jimmy Huff, I had met Jimmy, and I had said to Jimmy that I loved Clifton Forge. And for Jimmy, that's all that mattered. And as anyone who knew him would agree. And he convinced me that I should run and that I had something to offer. I had no experience at all in government, town, city, or otherwise, but I loved the community, and I thought, well, why not? So I did run as a write-in, and I won. And when I came on council, I knew it was a legislative body, but I did not know the extent of what a council person needed to do and what they didn't need to do. I think one of the biggest lessons for me was that as a council member, I didn't need to propose legislation. That's pretty much left up to the town manager, especially now that we are so fortunate to have Darlene Burcham. But so that was a big surprise to me, but one for which I was grateful. That was a biggie, and then there were learning about the problems that the town had at that time. We had serious issues back then with water meters. In 2009, all of the water meters weren't installed, so we were going through that, and there was the concern about the increasing water bills, and there were rumors that water was going to cost $125 a month, and all sorts of concerns. So I came in at a time when things were beginning to change in Clifton Forge. We were under mandates from the state to get our water lines and our sewer lines repaired and up to standard.
A process that's still ongoing.
A process that's still ongoing, but the mandates, I believe, are gone now. So we're doing much better in that regard.
What surprised you the most? As you said, you fell in love with Clifton Forge, you saw the courthouse, and it was a number of years. You bought a place, and then you decided you worked on it for a number of years and joined council in 2009. Was there anything that really surprised you the most?
About the town or about being on council?
Both. I mean, this is a small town. You were used to a little larger area, I believe.
Well, I think what has surprised me the most, and let me just backtrack a little bit. I grew up in what was a small community called Chesterfield, Missouri. It's in St. Louis County. Chesterfield is now, it's bigger than Roanoke, but there's no real city center in Chesterfield. But back then it was country. It was real country. And so I had an experience with country, but no experience with a small town. And I think the biggest surprise for me is that there are so many people here, the vast majority who have been here forever. Their families have been here for generations, and you have to be careful here because everybody is related to everybody else down the line somewhere.
That's certainly true.
And of course, my husband and I have no relations, no relatives at all in Virginia.
We're your adopted relatives.
Thank you very much, and we're delighted part of it. The other thing that surprised me is even though we have no family here, we're real newcomers from a different part of the country, really, we were accepted. And I think that is just an amazing thing. We have so many friends here, and when you live in the D.C. area, as we did for 26 years, you go to work and you come home, and you go to work and you come home, and that is literally all you have time to do. So this has been a real change for us and a wonderful change.
Changing, you got to work full time, extra time, and overtime all the time. I see you all
Yes.
over the place.
Well, part of being in this town is getting involved and volunteer activities, and that's been a real benefit to us.
And it's been a delight to have you. You know,
Thank
during
you.
this time, lots of things have changed, and you've been a part of it. Was there anything that you think was most significant in terms of change since you've come on council? Any major change, either in the operation of council or just in the prospects of the town? You've seen it all.
I think the biggest change from the town's perspective, and not everyone will agree with this, but from my perspective, the biggest change and the most important thing is the day Darlene Burcham came to this town. She brought and brings with her a wealth of experience. We have yet to come across anything on council that Darlene hasn't experienced before in some fashion. She has done so much for this town. She stepped in when we were getting the water meters in, and she made sure that we had a committee, water sewer rate committee. She brought in Draper Aden so that we knew what was going on, so we understood why the rates would have to go up. And she had worked on a water authority, so she had a deep understanding of that. She's helped bring business to town. She's very, very supportive of anyone who wants to open a business here. She's even brought a business incubator. We have that in the building next to Town Hall.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, and it's being used.
Well, you know, it's one of the many changes we've seen in the last few years. I believe Tuesday, December 13th is your last meeting.
That's right.
Is there anything you'd like to share with our viewers? Any special memories that, or will it be a secret at the council meeting?
No, it's not a secret. I firmly believe that no one council person is responsible for any good or any bad all by themselves. We have to work as a team, and we take a lot of guidance from our town manager, but we also question, and we all have our own input. There are a couple things that I am pleased about that I kind of mentioned or brought up first when I was on council. One of them was I learned when I was the first year I was on council, I found out that we had many people in town who were not paying their real estate taxes to the town of Clifton Forge. And I learned that the county had an attorney to make sure that their real estate taxes were being paid, but that we were not doing that. And after some pushing and some looking into it, we were able to retain the same attorney, and we were able to get those back taxes paid. And I don't remember the exact number, but it was somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000 that was owed to this town, money that we desperately needed. So I was very, very pleased to have gotten that going. The other thing that I did, and others took it over, so I didn't finish it, but when I was on council, during the first year, Carl Brinkley, who is now our mayor, but he wasn't on council at that time, came to council, and he mentioned that we needed a tax abatement program. And he explained it a little bit, and it has to do with people who renovate their property could get an abatement of taxes over a period of years for the assessed value of the improvements. And I had some experience in real estate tax assessment from my work in a law firm, and I understood what he was saying, and I started looking into it, and I actually drafted something, presented it to our council. They liked it, and then with council's authorization, I went to the Board of Supervisors and presented it. At that time, the Board of Supervisors, with the exception of the chairman, didn't seem very interested, so it kind of languished. And then it got going again in the last couple of years. Darlene Burcham got it going, and Steve Bennett was involved, and we now have what is really a tax abatement program. It is called a tax exemption program now, right. But it's it's an abatement, a lessening of your taxes of what you've done in improvements. And that's a good thing for not only homeowners, but also for businesses.
And you've always been a big supporter of making things nicer in the town, from the corridors to the...
Absolutely.
And do you have any special thoughts about that? I have seen improvements over the years, and of course downtown looks 100% better with all the businesses.
Well, that's a community effort. I'm actually not a member of the 2025 corridor curb appeal, although I have worked in some of their cleanup activities. But people are taking more pride, I believe, now in their properties than they once were. You don't hear, let me back up a little bit. When we first came here, before we actually retired, 2003, people would say almost with an embarrassment, I'm from Clifton Forge, and it was like they were ashamed. I don't hear that anymore. People are proud to be from Clifton Forge, and that to me is very exciting.
Well, and you've also worked on some of the upgrades on the Roxbury Street project with
Yes,
the
that's
water
true.
and sewer issues, and then home upgrading.
Right. I am on that committee, and that is a huge grant, well over $1 million, that has to be administered, and that's another reason we're fortunate to have Darlene Burcham. She knows how to administer these grants. But the Lower Roxbury program is rehabbing houses either for low to moderate income people, and either the houses can be rehabbed or what is called a substantial reconstruction, which means the house cannot be rehabbed, so people are actually getting a brand new house. And that has happened on Roxbury, and
That's great work.
It is just, it's wonderful, and it just has made such a difference.
It definitely has.
So,
Well, there you have it. We were lucky to catch councilwoman Johnette Roberts, who says that she's off to retirement. I have a feeling from pie contest to the historic Masonic Theater, we will be seeing you much more in the future.
yes.
Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you.